Hello, hello, hello. I'm Ed Jones II. I'm the founder of Beyond the Field and an experienced player development professional. This podcast is here to bring exposure to the player development field with the goal of creating generational impact in athletics and other surrounding areas. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend time with me on this platform. In today's episode, we will continue our series called The Questions of Player Development. We will begin the show after this ad by our sponsors. This podcast is brought to you by Beyond the Field Program, LLC. Beyond the Field is now providing consulting services. The services are the following: staff consulting, program evaluation, program creation, and player development education. Please head to btfprogram.com and click on our consulting tab to find out more. We help you help athletes create generational impact. All right, today we continue our series called The Questions of Player Development. The past year I collected a number of questions for my next book I write. I decided why not bring the questions to this podcast. In today's episode, we will cover questions 28 through 30. Question 28, discuss your decision to leave the coaching track and get into administration. What appeals to you more, being on the administrative side? All right, in 2016, I left high school coaching at my alma mater, Hightower High School. Shout out to the Hurricanes. Shout out to Coach Pedro McGinnis. Shout out to everybody who's ever graduated off Hurricane Lane for a support staff position at my other alma mater, the University of Houston. Shout out to the Cougars. Shout out to Cullen Boulevard. Shout out to Scott. Shout out to everybody in the third ward. I was told by the head coach who hired me, Tom Herman, that if I wanted to continue my coaching career, I would have to be the best at my role that I was given. I was director of player development and high school relations. So I went into every day focused on what I had to do with the thought process that I would be a position coach in 5 years and a head coach in 15 years. This all changed when I created an alumni event targeted at healing the divide created by a number of different head coaches in the last 30 years. At the University of Houston, Coach Bill Yeoman coached for a long time. And then after that, there were multiple coaches, and there was a divide with our alumni. This coach didn't want his former players to come. This other coach didn't want, it was a weird situation. One of the better known players from an earlier era was in a bad position in his life. And I remember thinking to myself, looking at him and seeing where he was at in his life and hearing his teammates say, man, I'm so glad he made it. It's so sad to hear what's going on. And in my mind, I'm like, now it's called name, image, likeness, but I'm thinking we have his pictures, his cleats, his records, all that stuff, anything that you know about him, his name is in our building. And, these records that we want our players to break, different things like that. But I'm thinking, could he come back and ask to get help from us? We have his name here. We have this here. Could he come back? We're using his name, image, and likeness for recruiting. We're using his records for our players, for our team. But could this player come back and get help from where he was at? Could this player, who did so much for university, return and receive the same value for his current life? This was on my mind for an entire week. What would I do if he was one of my former players? What am I doing for my players right now to ensure that this doesn't happen? These questions and this time of reflection led me to hanging up the proverbial coaching whistle. To answer the other question, the most appealing part about the administrative or support staff roles is the opportunity I've had to impact an entire team and program. So when I was a position coach, you get your position, you know your players well. I was handling recruiting, coordinating at Hightower High School, and so I had a good relationship with our players that were on the team. But when you get that player development, you get all of them. From the recruiting stage to graduation, you're pouring into their life, and I love that. One coach I worked for, he called me the head coach off the field. He said, whatever comes across my desk goes across Ed Jones's desk, so I enjoy that. This role has allowed me to impact in ways I never thought I could, and I've grown so much in this role, being on the support staff or the administration side. Question 29, what was the biggest challenge with student athletes during COVID? The biggest challenge I had, and we all had as a program, was communication. First off, personally me, I'm a people person. I like to be around people. I like to talk, see people, dap people up, all that. I'm in your face. Hey, how you doing? So when we all went into quarantine, this was new for me. This was like, whoa, man, I don't get to see these guys, whatever it may be. I wanted to call and talk on the phone. So I'm a big, hey, let's call, let's talk. But these guys wanted to FaceTime and text. And so I had to change my, understanding of, how I need to communicate effectively with student athletes. I was also in charge of understanding where the student athletes would be and if they needed anything. This was an all-day task as I got into contact with 120 players on our team at least twice a day for updates. Most days it was 3, but I shot for at least twice. So you're going through this entire roster all day, make sure these guys are good. We had to be in constant communication with our guys as we were sending laptops, tablets, routers, school supplies, different things to ensure they had everything they needed for class. So class was still going to go on. It was going to be fully remote. We also sent them workout equipment, bands, lacrosse balls, little things that they can do to do some manual exercise. Of course, we weren't sending weights, equipment, bench presses, things like that. Can't do that. In addition, we were sending nutritional supplements. So we were sending all this stuff to ensure not only that our players could work out during this time, but that they can, have the same access to the supplements and the resources they had on campus. Some players, as you can imagine, weren't the greatest at picking up their phone. So I had to exhaust every avenue to get in contact with them and check their welfare. I was on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, WhatsApp, whatever there was, I was using it to ensure that these guys were good. This time during COVID taught me fresh, effective ways to communicate with student athletes. Question 30, how important is personal welfare to career development for student athletes that are pursuing the next level? I believe personal welfare is very important. As with anything, your wellness affects many areas of your life. When student athletes are pursuing a career, I think it is important that they pursue a career they are passionate about, something that interests them. An area or a field where they can make impact, pursuing something in which their transferable skills that they learned as an athlete will provide confidence for them in that role. Confidence helps in careers. Confidence helps in roles, just like confidence helps with playing. So having those transferable skills that build that confidence is great. I am not a believer in go find the career with the highest salary and go do it. That is not me. Money's money. I've been blessed to see the great side of it. I've seen the other side of it. Money's money. But the number one thing is you want to do what you're passionate about. I'm a big believer in finding what you're passionate about, what you're confident about, things that just happen naturally for you. Work and careers take a lot out of you, good and bad. You want to ensure you can continue to find fulfillment, purpose, and joy in what you do. As a catalyst of generational impact, I can say a career in an area where you can provide impact for others benefits the overall welfare of an individual. All right, it's time for the former player shout out. I want to give recognition to those that I've coached or led who are doing great things beyond the field. This episode, I want to give a shout out to Pelumi Okeowo. Pel played for us at the University of Kansas. He became a member of our football team without playing any football in his career. He was a basketball player who came over and earned a spot as a running back. He was a hard worker who put in immense time learning and perfecting his craft at the running back position. An excellent student, Pel consistently had one of the highest GPAs on our team. He made our 4.0 semester list. Pel was active in the programming we provided to student athletes. He graduated in 2021 with a degree in business management and leadership. Pel is currently finishing his first year at the University of Florida Levin College of Law. Pel, I'm proud of you, and I'm excited to see how you will impact the world in the field of law. That's all for today. Thank you for taking your time to listen. Go follow Beyond the Field on Twitter and IG at BTF_program and on Facebook at BTF Program. These episodes are also loaded onto YouTube so you can find us there. Search Beyond the Field Program and subscribe there. Tag us on social media and let us know what you learned about player development from today's show. Use hashtag #ThePDPod as the hashtag for the show. Go visit the website btfprogram.com and check out the resources in the blog. Purchase the Beyond the Field ebook, which details the player development programming that I did in the 6 years as a director of player development. Subscribe to this podcast on the platform you're listening to. Please rate and leave a review of the show. It would mean so much to me. It's so great to see the ratings and the reviews. It honestly encourages me, and helps me continue to create content for you all. Share this podcast if you believe it will benefit someone to learn more about player development. Next episode, we continue our Questions of Player Development series with questions 31 through 33, in which we will discuss the main components that go into starting a program to assist student athletes' development. How much interaction do you have with coaches? How often do you become involved with coaches in a negative light? Doesn't happen much. I look forward to the next podcast. Thank you for tuning in and spending your valuable time with me. God bless you. Have a great day and create generational impact. Don't wait. Create that generational impact today.